Warning, I say a lot of bad words. If you're under 13, you probably shouldn't be watching this.
I'm trying to make an announcement. Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker.
I love video games. I firmly believe that the medium is a very valid form of modern artistic expression. Given the themes of human nature and its effect on society explored in series like Deus Ex and BioShock, the emotional impact left by games such as Final Fantasy VII, The Last of Us, and Red Dead 2, the very mature and nuanced examination of sexuality in Honey Pop and Ride to Hell Retribution, but then there is Untitled Goose Game. Coming from indie studio House, Untitled Goose Game is a game so confident in itself that it didn't even need to come up with the title. It's like if you made a movie with the title that ended in .mp4. Untitled Goose Game is a stealth puzzle game with a very basic premise. You are a malevolent goose who does anything and everything in his power to ruin the lives of everyone in this small little village. Man, woman, or child be damned. On paper, this is very much the highest form of art possible, but we must examine how the game fares as a game. Geese are the biggest assholes on the planet. I remember a few years ago I had an encounter with one on my college campus, and I have no idea how I'm still alive after that. I guess it was just feeling merciful that day. The goose in this game would probably devour my throat in my sleep though. It's difficult to dissect the game's plot and story because it doesn't really have one. You come out of the woods, wreak havoc, steal a nice shiny bell, and make your grand escape. That is the entire story right there. It's really that straightforward. There's not exactly much character development, or any, and your expectations are not going to be subverted by any plot points or story twists. Sorry to break it to you. You start off in a garden, making your way downtown, stopping at a house, and going down to the pub, leaving behind a trail of destruction and irritation to the people trapped in the hellscape. It all pretty much hinges on one joke, that being, the goose is a piece of shit. And if you find that funny, then you'll definitely enjoy this game for sure. The main gameplay premise is that you're given a list of things to do and cross off when you're done with them. And most of the fun in this game comes from figuring out how exactly to fulfill each item on the list. You can run, waddle slowly, pick up or drag items depending on their size, duck, and flap your wings to signify your dominance over all the stupid humans. The game's control definitely makes you feel like a goose, which is probably the strangest compliment I've ever given anything. Untitled Goose Game really does make you feel like Untitled Goose. The challenge in this game comes from figuring out how exactly to meet all of your given requirements, because it's not always totally straightforward about it. While yes, certain list requirements like rake in the lake are pretty obvious, grab the lake and pull it into the rake, a lot of the challenges have a little bit of a process that you need to figure out and execute, typically involving getting the humans to do a thing or gathering up a bunch of items. Hell, some of the challenges even have multiple solutions, and I think that's really cool. It gives Untitled Goose Game a weirdly bigger degree of freedom than I was honestly expecting. For example, to gain entry into the pub, you can either hide inside a box like Solid Snake and wait for somebody to pick you up and take you inside, or you can untie the bouncer's shoes and then brute force your way in. Even if they're not super complex, the game gets really clever with the objectives thanks to the unique behavior and body language of the human NPCs and the scenarios that they're placed in. More than one time, this game has given me just the most evil kind of smile as I ruin everyone's day and run off to wreak more havoc. The outcomes of every objective you complete alone are enough to justify playing this game. It's very heavy on slapstick, and the humans' reactions to the goose's antics I feel is what makes the whole joke of the game work as well as it does. You can torment and terrorize this poor dumbass little shit, make the gardener smash his thumb and fall over, do a little performance for the ladies, as well as most definitely cause these two to get divorced. It's so evil, I love it. I feel like the best way to describe Untitled Goose Game is petty mischief. There's no real conflict or danger, nothing's actually at stake, and nobody gets hurt or suffers any lifelong trauma. Well, okay, no, this kid is definitely gonna need therapy for the rest of his life. It's all just dumb, goofy mischief, and it's devilishly charming. Also, I love the implication at the end that causing mischief and stealing a bell is just part of this goose's regular routine with how many he's stolen. This village really is at the mercy of an evil demonic goose. A huge aspect of the game's charm comes from the visuals and sound. Untitled Goose Game has a pretty simple and cute art style, making use of minimally detailed 3D models, textures that are all basic flat colors, and goofy animations for the humans and our titular goose protagonist. It works really well, and it fits perfectly alongside the childish and goofy tone. That and the piano OST that plays throughout the game just adds to the absurdity. It's a weirdly fitting blend of serene and chaotic, which kinda sums up the whole experience. The physics can be a bit awkward to work with, and navigation can be a pain because of how much empty space there is, but I found those issues to be easily ignorable. Though the length of this game I find a lot harder to ignore because it is really damn short. My playthrough of Untitled Goose Game took me about 2 total hours, and I'm pretty sure I could easily shave off more than half of that time if I really felt like it. There are other bonus objectives after the base game and a multiplayer mode, but even at its normal price of $20, it is a bit difficult to justify getting this game without waiting for a sale. I feel like it maybe could have had 1 or 2 more scenarios to do objectives in. That aside, Untitled Goose Game is probably the best goose simulator I've ever played. Mostly because it's the only goose simulator I've ever played. For what it is, Untitled Goose Game is a fun and charming game during its short runtime, but it's not really something I'd religiously go back to. I know this review was a bit of a short one, but there's not really a whole lot to say about this game due to how simple in nature it is. I definitely had fun with it though, and it does keep its novelty for the short couple of hours it took me to beat it. It's worth playing at least once, if only for a good laugh, but I'd personally wait for a sale or a discount before picking it up. Best game I've played since Life of Black Tiger: The Rage of Black Tiger. Good night.